Nicole. So, hello, Nicole, and congratulations on being awarded the Post-Secondary Teacher of the Year. We're super excited for you, and thank you so much for taking some time today to speak with us.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
So, Post-Secondary Teacher of the Year, big award. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you even became involved with CTE.
Well, I started working out of college at Pepsi back in the late 80s, and my initial degree is in computer information systems. And I was working developing computer systems and installing them and getting them placed in their corporate office in Phoenix. And part of my job involved training. So we were training the executives how to use the computers for decision making. And then we rolled out a Southwest initiative. Actually, it was nationwide, but my responsibility was Southwest to roll out handheld computers on the route trucks. And I realized through my job that the parts that I liked were training people. I didn't really like so much the developing the systems or installing the computers. It was working with people to show them how they could use that computer to help do their jobs. And I said, I could do this for a living. And so I quit my job, much to my mother's dismay, and I went back to school and I got a master's in business and a master's in education because I wanted to teach at the community college. That was kind of, where I thought I would go. But life always has an
Okay.
interesting way of giving you twists and turns. And I got the job at Northern Arizona University in an organization called the Institute for Future Workforce Development. And I look back 28 years ago, we were doing Perkins grants and professional development for teachers in the field. And we were helping CTE teachers with integration of academics and work-based learning and non-traditional equity careers. And I stayed in that for many years. And then the faculty position came up in 2001 with the retirement of one of our faculty members. And I'd been teaching part-time and I thought, wow, I could teach full-time. And that's how I kind of got the faculty position. So 28 years later, here I am working for the same employer. My generation didn't do that. I never thought that I would be in the same employer in the same field for all of these years, but it has been so rewarding and I wouldn't trade any of it.
Well, you're definitely a dedicated educator and passionate about your position. Just so you know, you and I have been doing it just about the same number of years. I'm going on my 30th, so with the same employer. So that's we have something in common there. Um, so where does this passion come from for CTE, and what's kind of rooted in that? Why is it so important to you?
That's interesting because I was thinking back on that and I realized that I'm a product of CTE. And I sometimes forget that back in high school, Stephanie Hoggin's business classroom, that's where I got my start in CTE. And I was in FBLA and I was an officer in our local chapter. And I had a co-op position, my first real job other than Arby's, which was a great job too, but was through my co-op experience in Stephanie's classroom. And it's interesting that years later, I had a student teacher that was in a marketing placement in Horizon High School, where I had gone to school. And Stephanie was her last year as a teacher. She was retiring that year, and her last spring semester, one of my student teachers was in her classroom. And I think back on that, and I thought, wow, that's crazy that I kind of came full circle to where I had started. And so I think that's where my passion started, but where it's grown in the past 28 years is through the way I've seen CTE make a difference for people to find their own passion, to find joy in what they do, so that when they go to work every
Mm.
day, it's not a job. It's something that they love doing and that they want to be a part of each and every day. And if somebody can find that, if somebody can find that skill set and that joy in what they do, which CTE does for so many people, that makes my passion grow. And and then the last story that I'm going to tell you for kind of where this passion came from is recent. I have a 23-year-old son, and he graduated from high school and he went to college at NAU using my tuition benefits, and it wasn't a good fit for him, and he didn't like it. it didn't feel right to him, and he kind of slugged along his first semester and then not so well his second semester, and he dropped out. And he came home and he was kind of figuring out regrouping. What do you do from here? And he ended up going back to cosmetology school, and he finished cosmetology school, and he loves what he does. He has so much joy in the skill that he feels, and I've seen he's really good at, and he loves doing it every day. And had we found that a little sooner, I think we could have saved some student loans that first year for sure at NAU. But I think that that's where my passion comes from, is seeing that passion in other people and being a part of making that happen.
Well, I can definitely, that's a great story, and thank you for sharing that. So now that you're the post-secondary teacher of the year, you're looked upon as a leader or the leader in the field. So what advice would you give to other post-secondary CTE educators on making their program successful?
Well, I think one of the real important things that all educators should do, but especially post-secondary educators, is look at making sure that you are always seeking continuous improvement from your programs from a data-driven approach. You need to get data from all of your stakeholders, and especially in post-secondary, students are one of our stakeholders. Students have a choice for where they're going to go for post-secondary education. And so we have to make sure that when we're developing programs, that not only are they meeting the needs of the employers and where they're going to be going, but they're also meeting the needs of the students, that they're engaging and that they're relevant, and that the students are able to effectively learn within those programs. And that requires constant examination of what you're doing. What are you teaching? How are you teaching it? Are you meeting the outcomes? And if you're not, what can you do to get there, or to modify, or to improve each and every year? And so it's really important that programs not become static. The world is changing so fast around us, and it's important that we continue to change with it. And with that, I say it's really important that you have both rigor and relevance in your programs, and that the only way you're going to ensure that you have both is to reach out to those stakeholders and then share your data back with them and let them see your data, be very transparent, and say, here's what we have, where can we improve? And there's two other pieces I'm really passionate about that are advice for post-secondary programs. First is experience, credit for prior experience, and credit for alternative experience. It's really important. A lot of our students come to us with work experience, with maybe prior experience in a high school CTE program that they didn't actually get concrete course credit for, and having them repeat coursework that they already can show or demonstrate that they have competence in is an inefficient use of our educational system, both from their tuition dollars and society's contribution back in the program. So we really need to be innovative in how we can document what they already know, so that while they're in our programs, we're taking those skill sets to the next level. So we're getting more bang for our buck, because tuition dollars in post-secondary programs are also being contributed by society, by taxpayers and communities, or maybe they're being supported through tuition reimbursement programs through employers. So we want to be real careful about how we're effectively using that money to get the most out of it. And then the third area that I'm just super passionate about recently is this idea of stackable credentials. And I really think that we need to be looking at 2+2+2 programs, and finding opportunities for people of all ages to move in and out of our educational systems and get credentials as they go, so that they can gain skills when they need it to go on to the next aspect of their career or job, use it, and then come back into us again when they're ready for the next level. And so that might start out with certificate programs that they even earn while in our high schools. And then they stack those when they need to into associate degrees in our community colleges. And then if their careers go in a direction where they need that bachelor's degree, they can come into the universities and stack into that bachelor's degree. And then sometimes it even requires a master's. And we have an accelerated master's where students can get both their bachelor's and master's in as little as 2 years by using all those stackable credentials and experiential credit. And if they need that master's degree, then great, let's stack it up. But as educators in post-secondary, we need to be leaders in finding and shaping the partnerships that can really make that happen. And so it's not that we're all competitors in this higher education landscape, but we're all partners because we really want to make a difference where CTE fits into our economy. We can really play a role in helping make that more cost effective for all of society.
I think that's outstanding advice. And so you mentioned a little earlier, you're saying how challenging of a year this year has been. So what kind of encouragement or advice would you give to teachers facing the challenges during COVID?
Boy, that is a very, very true statement. And my students oftentimes are working full time as well. So my students are maybe currently teaching CTE in a school that may be online this week and maybe in person next week and maybe using a hybrid model. I've also got students who are facing the same challenge as I am. My kids right now, I'm right before I started this interview, I had to make sure one of them was working on math in the kitchen and one of them is working on social studies upstairs. So the world has really changed, and we have dogs barking in our Zoom meetings and all sorts of interesting challenges. But I sent out a quote to my students earlier this semester, and I really think it fits here. It's from Teddy Roosevelt, and he said, "Do what you can with what you have where you are." What a beautiful statement. Do what you can with what you have where you are. And I've seen so many teachers feeling like they're failing this semester and feeling like they're not doing enough and they're not doing what they usually do. And they're feeling very frustrated with the changes. And I say it's the constantly shifting sands of our world. And so I just want them to breathe and be kind to themselves and know that, we'll get through this. But for advice on how to do that, there are some amazing resources that are being shared out there through our CTSOs, through our professional organizations like NBEA or ITEA, through our association, ACTE. And they are gathering resources of what works and posting them and sharing them for teachers to use so they don't have to do it alone. I encourage teachers to go out and reach out to these organizations, share what's working for them, gather up resources that have worked for others, and together we can all make it through this, helping each other.
Absolutely, absolutely. You've had such a great career, and it sounds like you're just getting started. So that's good. But there's got to be one accomplishment that you're so proud of. Can you share a little bit with us what that one accomplishment might be?
I can, and it's something that just is very special to me. Our university has an award. It's called the Golden Axe Award, and it is a very prestigious award that only even a small percentage of students are even eligible to apply for, and an even smaller number of students receive. This past semester, 23 of our graduating students received a Golden Axe. When students apply to receive this award, they are evaluated in three different areas, scholarship and merit, community service, and service to the university. And when they explain all of these things that they believe makes them worthy, they nominate as part of their application an educator of influence. And they explain what that educator meant to them and how they helped them in their journey for all of these accomplishments that they're telling the selection committee about. And last December, December of 19, one of my students received this award, and I was recognized as his educator of influence. And that is my greatest accomplishment as a professional, as an educator, certainly, that a student felt so influenced by me that they included me as part of this application, and then they were recognized for this honor. And so that is by far my greatest accomplishment.
I am sure I can see the energy and the enthusiasm, and you must be an incredible educator. So I'm certain you're going to have more of those as well as you continue your career. The you're a member of ACTE, so what do you value most of the organization, and what would you say to someone who's considering whether they should join ACTE, and what would they get out of it?
Well, I'm going to answer your question in reverse order, if you don't mind. So, first, let me tell
No.
you the benefits of the organization. And these are easy because I tell my students about them every semester and encourage all of my students to join. So, first, ACTE has an amazing treasure trove of resources. They have information sheets and data sheets and research reports and advocacy toolkits that people can access and use to either educate themselves or their stakeholders about our field to help build awareness and change perceptions for CTE. They're just a click away on the website. And so if someone hasn't gone and looked, and you don't even have to be a member to avail yourself of all of this, but certainly I would encourage you to support and give back for all of these resources that are available. The second thing they provide is professional development. And kudos and shout outs to the amazing job they did taking the wonderful national yearly vision conference and turning it into the best professional development experience I've ever had virtually last week. Better than even attending in person the 3 times I did, because I could attend more sessions since they were being recorded. I didn't have to make choices. Oh no, they're both at 1 o'clock. Which one do I go to? I networked online in a meaningful way with other educators last week, and in person it's obviously even better. And so that, the national policy seminar, which happens every spring in DC, the webinars, they were doing webinars before webinars were a thing. Like now, of course, we're all doing webinars, that's all we're doing, but before COVID happened, they had amazing webinars that were available. They've always done updates on different changes in Perkins and then posted them, and so the professional development is really exceptional. They also provide leadership opportunities. There are opportunities to get involved in leadership roles at the local, state level, at the regional level, and at the national level. And everything from, things that might only require a commitment of a day or two a year to things that require, more, involved. Not only do they provide the opportunities, they help develop leaders. So through fellowship programs and mentoring programs, you can learn from others and then apply what you've learned to becoming a leader yourself. And so that's a great benefit as well. And then the last benefit, which is certainly not the least, is their advocacy efforts. Ever since ACTE was created back in 1926 with the merging of the two associations, they have provided a unified national voice for the needs and concerns of our field. And they have been working and advocating for us tirelessly since that time. And so that advocacy just is so valuable and well worth it. And then as a side note, the fee is only $80. And I receive benefits that far exceed my $80 every year through discounts in car insurance or through life insurance policies and other things. So, I mean, it doesn't even really net cost me any money. So I just really encourage everybody to join. Now, the Techniques magazine, which you receive either in the mail or online when you join, is a great resource for staying current on things in our field, and definitely the premier publication for CTE educators. So you started out by saying what was most valuable to me. So I've told you all of these benefits. Bar none, every semester I talk to my students, I love the policy seminar. It is my favorite professional development opportunity they do. It happens in the spring, usually in March every year in Washington, D.C. And when you go to this policy seminar, you get to go to workshops and sessions about advocacy, which is great. You get to network with all of these people who are kind of on the national level of trends and policy related to our field. And then with people from your state, you get to make visits on the Hill to your congressional representatives and your senators, and meeting them in their offices and telling your CTE story to them is just, you have to experience it to see how great it is. I have been so fortunate that in my 28 years, I've been able to go 3 times, and I definitely plan to go again. I'm not done. I love going and being a part of that. And so that is my favorite thing that they do, just because I find it so fascinating to be at that level and see how it all comes together.
That's awesome and very well said. Thank you for sharing that. And if there's any questions that you may have for me or about Goodhart Wilcox, I'm happy to answer those.
I do today, Todd. Why is CTE important to Goodhart Wilcox? I mean, I know that you have textbooks, and I use some of them in some of my classes, but why is it important to your organization?
So Goodhart Wilcox specializes in career and technical education. So as a publisher, that's all we focus on. We don't do academic areas. We don't do core areas. We only focus on career and technical education. We're getting ready to celebrate our 100th year anniversary in January. So we've been doing it for a long time. And in fact, we've had authors from your institution write products for us and be authors and share their knowledge with students across the United States and the world, really. We not only serve North America, but we service other countries throughout the world. And we look at it as our mission is we build careers, and that's the focus on. Our focus is helping students learn careers and be good citizens. We look at it though as we're the hand that kind of shapes the world, and in the hand is career and technical education is so skill based and working with our hands, or working, it's hands-on, minds-on education. And it's so important to us, and that's all we do, and that's all we're going to continue to do, hopefully for the next 100 years.
Wow, I had no idea that you were only focused on career and technical education. I since it's my field, I just assumed you did everything. That's really interesting to hear. Why is post-secondary education important to Goodhart Wilcox?
Well, post-secondary education is the step before students become employable. Sometimes they're already employed and they're going through post-secondary education, or they're doing their post-secondary education like your son, and then taking that next step. So we know that this is an integral part of a career path for a young person or even an adult person. But we know that post-secondary education is so necessary in order to get that last amount of information that you need in order to go out into the world to be successful. And it's not always just skills-based. It's not knowing the processes and procedures and the materials and that, but it's also soft skills. It's how to work with other people, how to work in teams, how to work with other mentors, or how to be a mentor, or how to coach. And so there's so much more to career and technical education, and a lot of that part is what we can do at the post-secondary level. They're ready for that, that they need that, the student needs that, and that piece is so important for our field and for our future as students go out and get jobs and build careers and become productive citizens.
I could not agree with you more. Well said.
Well, I think that kind of concludes our interview, Nicole. Thank you again. Congratulations to you and all your success. And the fact that you've been doing this for 28 years, I'm amazed. I would have guessing that you're about 28 years old, but you've given your life, it seems like, to CTE and to students, and helping them and influencing them and being a special part of their lives. So it's you don't always get the credit. And I guess what the one student gave you credit, but when they say there's one, there's always 10 more that don't say anything. And I'm sure there's many, many students who are thinking the same thing as that one student said, that you've influenced their lives. And thank you for doing that. And I'm glad at least we can recognize it through an award that you're someone special. But thank you and keep up the great work.
Thank you so much. It's been wonderful talking with you today.